Hi, welcome back to my floor. My name is Shelby Grace, if you did not already know that. I am sick. It's not COVID, but it's something. However, that's not important. For those of you who don't already know, I recently graduated high school. Yay! Worst 4 years of my life. Wait, no. Second worst 4 years of my life. There were times I did not think I would make it. So, with that being said, I've learned and I'm here to give you advice. Last year I did a video like this where it was just high school advice. Today's video will solely be about senior year. So I have separated this into 4 basic categories: social, school, college, and general. So we're just gonna go ahead and start with social. Do not worry about going to every event, especially if you don't want to. I said in my last video, try and go to every event. I didn't lie. This is still going to that trying, but if you can't make it to an event, or if there's just an event you really don't want to go to, then don't worry about going to it. You still tried, and that's what's important. Next is follow your class social media pages. Mine had an Instagram page. I think they had more, but I definitely know if that's an Instagram page. Every single update you can ever think of will be on there. Photos from events, important dates and reminders, all of it. That is probably one of the most important things ever. It's what helped me not forget about things. They literally were on top of all the information for our grad bash tickets. They kept us informed about what was available, what wasn't. So definitely follow Instagram, Twitter. I know some have TikToks. Mine didn't. Mine wasn't that cool. I know some do. Next tip. Make friends with underclassmen. You might be the biggest help they've ever had. I had a couple of underclassmen friends this year, and honestly, one of the best things ever. I helped her when she needed advice on classes or just how to do things around the school or how tests would go. She kept me informed about stuff that was happening when seniors had to leave for events. And honestly, make more friends, because why not? Try and hang out with your friends as much as possible. This might be the last year you see some of them, and you won't be seeing most of them for at least another year or so. You're not really going to keep in contact with people from high school. I literally keep in contact with 3. So that was it for my social tips. Now I'm going to move on to some more school advice, and this is where some of your most important when it comes to your senior year, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into those. If you can, take dual enrollment classes over AP classes. You will thank me later. Normally, especially if you have to pay for AP classes, normally dual enrollment classes are free. They're right through the college. They're through the district you're in. Mine, at least for me, it's all based off my experience, they were significantly easier than taking an AP class. Some of them you don't even need to worry about doing a big test at the end of the year. It's literally, I had one where it was a 20-question multiple choice, and that was it, nothing else. And you have a better chance at getting higher grades, so meaning that instead of taking the chance you can do well in class and completely bomb a test, and with AP classes, it's that test that really matters and that will get you the credit. However, with dual enrollment, the test only counts for part of your grade. So if you did really well in the class and you maybe not did so well on a test and you still have at least a C, you're still guaranteed that college credit. Borrow review material from friends, especially try not to buy anything new, especially if there's semester classes where you're taking it second semester and a friend took it first semester. Borrow their study material. No one's stopping you. It's not cheating, technically. Ask around, if you know a couple of upperclassmen that took a class you're taking right now, ask around and say, hey, what were some of the most studied parts of the curriculum that were on the test? Try and get as much information free as you can, and a lot of it will come from your classmates. Keep your attendance in check. Now, Shelby, you may be asking, why would I need to worry about attendance? It's senior year. Because if you're like my school, they cap it at 5. And at 5, you have to take senior exams. Reap the benefits for coming in every day. Half the time you're not doing shit anyway. Trust me. Yes, you could go do the same thing at home. However, you won't have to take exams. Also, so you don't miss anything important. I've missed a couple days, and it has been important review material, so get your graduation requirements out of the way first. I know senior year is like, you get to take the classes you want and no one really cares, but you probably still will have classes you have to take in order to graduate. Make sure you're covering those first and foremost before you take any of the fun classes. One, so you can actually graduate on time and you're not like worrying at the end. And two, because those fun classes will be more rewarding. Communicate with your counselors and your APs constantly, because you never know what might come up. I ended up having a very surprise, almost $100 book charge for a book I didn't even lose. I turned it in. The school lost it, but that charge was on my account. I would have not been able to graduate or do any of the fun stuff at the end of the year if I did not talk to the people I needed to talk to. Talk to them. Do it. Plus, with talking to your counselor, you can find out everything about college. You can make sure you're staying on top of your attendance, your grades, all of it, because the goal here is to graduate. It's not to stay in school, it's to graduate. I don't really know what APs are for half the time, so maybe they're not that important. But counselors, definitely, because they're the ones that will really are paying attention to your grades. Nothing else but your grades. Stay on top of your deadlines. May will sneak up on you. It will. It literally, I cannot tell you, the past 5 months of high school go by the fastest. It does not seem like they will. They do. Because one minute, you're coming back second semester, let's go, one more semester. The next, it's a week before graduation. It happened that fast. So stay on top of, deadlines and stuff, because some of those projects, some of those things that are due are worth a large part of your grade. So I'm just saying, you don't have to turn things in, but have good time management. Don't compare your GPAs to your friends, because at the end of the day, once you get into school or a college, that's not, your high school GPA doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No one's going to look at your high school GPA anymore. But also because sometimes your GPA does not reflect where you stand, only reflects where you stand on a total scale. Because at my school, mine did a weighted GPA over 4.0, meaning we had GPAs all the way from, 4.3 to in the teen. Our valedictorian graduated with a 9 point something. I graduated with a 6, which for my school was average. I had an average GPA. For a lot of people out there, a 6.2 or whatever I had is a fantastic GPA. It's high. But for my school, it was about average. A lot of people had 6s. So don't compare your GPAs to what you're hearing from these other people, or to anyone else in your school, because colleges don't look at the other people in your school. They look at your GPA across the country. And last, for school and high school related stuff, senioritis is a real thing. I cannot tell you how many times I did not want to come in. I did not want to do the work. I just wanted to sit there or stay home or whatever. It's real. It will hit after spring break. You think you're fine, and then spring break hits, and you're like, what's the point of coming in? You're just done. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, because senioritis can turn into, depression and anxiety real fast. It's not something that people joke about. Honestly, it should go in with depression, because a lot of people suffer from it. Senioritis is real. You should take it seriously, but do not let it get in the way of you finishing high school. College tips now. I'm going to start off the college advice section with, you don't have to go to college. You can go into the military, you can go straight into the workforce. College is expensive, I know that. It's not for everyone. You don't have to do it. However, all the advice I'm about to say is for the people who do want to go to college. So keep that in mind. So, preferences real quick. I'm going to use stuff in the fall. That's really it. Apply to colleges early, as soon as you can, preferably in the summer, because a lot of colleges have rolling deadlines. They have early deadlines. For UCF, they had an early deadline in, I think it was November 1st, is an average for most colleges. But UCF also has a rolling admission, so you'll find out if you got in within a few weeks. Especially with rolling admissions, it's important to apply early, because the sooner you apply, the more spaces are open. It's when those spaces get very limited towards the end of the academic year that it becomes more competitive. So if you really want to get into a school, and it has a rolling admission, apply early because you have a better chance of getting in. It's also just a really great idea, and you just get it done and out of the way and over with. You do not have to apply for like 14, 15 colleges, because here's what they don't tell you. Applying for colleges costs money, and it's not like, oh, $10 here and $10 there. It can be anywhere from $30 to almost $100 depending on the school. UCF was about $30. I had friends that applied to bigger state schools like UF and FSU, and they paid upwards of like $80 just to apply to a school. So don't apply to like 15 schools. I would say keep it under 7 or 8, 8 being your max, because again, $30 times 8 is what? $240. That's $240 minimum if you apply to 8 schools. So just keep that in mind when you're applying. With that being said, pick safety schools, but pick safety schools you actually want to go to. Don't just pick like, oh, I can easily get into state school number 5 because everyone gets into state school number 5. I really don't want to go to state school number 5, but everyone will get in, so I at least have a chance of going there. Don't do that. Don't do that. Make sure your safety schools are schools you want to go to, schools that have the programs you want, schools that you're excited about going to. More often than not, you'll end up going to those schools. I do not mean to rain on anybody's parade, but a lot of the time people end up going to their safety schools over the bigger schools. And you do not want to be stuck with a safety school that just is complete water, for lack of a better term. College is expensive. I haven't even started yet, and I've paid probably close to $500 at this point, and that's on the lower end. I haven't even started, like, tuition's not paid. I just found out where I'm living for the year. Make sure you have how you're going to be paying for it all before you start applying. So the summer before you start applying, figure out, okay, what scholarships do I look at? Are there any programs through school or the district that I can apply to that will give me some money? What do I have job-wise? Can I get a job and live off of that in college? Do I have money set aside for college? Make sure you get all of that figured out. And that includes not only tuition, but your dorm or your living situation, how you're going to pay for food, how you're going to pay for gas, how you're going to pay for little things, how you're going to pay for flights. Like, it's the stuff you don't think about that will end up costing you the most money. It's not just tuition, and it's not just housing. So make sure you have covered all your bases with financing before you start applying, so that you know you can afford these schools. You don't need to take the SAT and or the ACT, 10 times each. I would say at least take them once. I only took the SAT because it was free. Don't do what I did. It's not a smart idea. Take them at least once. If you do not like your grade, study in one very specific category and only take it maybe 1 or 2 other times. Again, you do not need to take the SAT and the ACT 15 times. I know a girl who took them, I think both like 5 times each. She had to pay for 9 of those 10 times. Think about that. And these aren't cheap tests. They're at least $60 each. So you're paying $600 to take a test. And we got lucky and were able to take the SAT for free. I know, college is all about figuring out what you want to do. That's great. Make sure you have a plan going into college. This goes with the college is expensive point, because college is expensive. You're paying for classes. These aren't just like fun classes you can take whenever you're paying to take these classes. My advice is figure out what you want to do. If you want to go more down a science field, if you want to go more down like a law field, figure that out. You don't have to micro-focus your major or even pick your major right then. You just have to have a good field of what you want to go to, so that way you can take those specific classes and figure out what you want to do through that. I knew what I wanted to do when I applied, so that wasn't really an issue for me. My advice is don't put undecided. Pick a major on your application that you think sounds the most interesting. Start with that. Take core classes surrounding your entire field and decide from there. You can always change your major, but it's easier if you already have classes that overlap. scholarship shop. This is probably the best advice you'll ever get when it comes to applying for colleges is scholarship shop. You don't have to just apply for the big ones. Apply for all the little ones too, because you'll find out that it's those little ones that are really gonna just push you and give you the extra money you need. I got lucky and I didn't really need to. I'm still getting a scholarship, but I didn't need to scholarship shop as much. So my last college advice is, once you know what schools you have gotten into or you've been admitted to, figure out which school, the one school you want to go to, before May 1st. May 1st is called National College Decision Day. It's the day that most people announce what college they're going to. It's also the day that colleges close their decision deadlines, meaning if you don't decide by May 1st, you're not getting into the term you want. So if you really want to go to, University of Michigan, make sure you respond to the University of Michigan, do all that before May 1st, or you're not going, at least for fall. And the last set of tips I have are just more general stuff that can apply across the board. They didn't really fit into a category, so I'm just gonna jump right into it. Do your research about senior trips. This includes any kind of grad bash, any kind of going to Cancun, whatever, because they may not always be as you seem. Found that out the hard way. I paid $140. Do your research. Really random, but eat breakfast every day. I know a lot of people go to school and they go to high school and they oh, I don't eat breakfast in the mornings because I don't have time, or I just don't feel like it. Do it. You're not gonna be as tired. You're gonna learn more, and it's just overall good for your body. You don't want to feel like crap. Don't buy new school supplies, or at least what you don't need. Go around your house, find a couple folders, find a notebook or two that you can use, pens, pencils that you have lying around. You're good to go. You literally do not need anything else your senior year. Some teachers ask for certain materials, so you'll want to go ahead and buy those. But if you have extra folders that you didn't use last year, then use those. Don't buy new ones. If you drive, make sure you have emergency supplies, like spare tires and screwdrivers, because my best friend ended up having to call AAA to come fix her car because she got a flat tire. Yeah, do not drive without any kind of emergency supplies. Bring and drink water. I brought this to school almost every single day. And I say almost only because I had another one that was a little bit smaller than this that I brought to school before I bought this. Drink water because it's going to keep you awake. It's going to keep you alert. It's going to keep you hydrated. But also make sure you're having electrolytes too. If it's available to you, bring a laptop or a tablet or an iPad or something like that to school with you. You cannot begin to imagine the amount of times I've been sitting in class and teacher says, okay, open up Canvas, there's a reading thing on there for you. And we get there and the print is this big on your phone. However, I got into my iPad and it's this big. I can read it. It's easier to see. So if you can, then I highly suggest doing so. If you can't, don't worry about it. That's the least of your worries. Have emergency supplies for yourself, not just for your car. This includes things like Band-Aids, hand sanitizers, hair elastics, tampons, pads, you name it. You need it on a day-to-day basis. Sunscreen, put it in there. Have a little baggie or something. I don't know. Shove it in a pocket in your backpack. Whatever, make sure you have that stuff available to use because you will need it. You don't think you need it, you will. Perfect your time management your senior year because that's going to be really helpful to you in college. Really helpful. You're going to want to figure out okay, if I write an essay from scratch, how long is it going to take? You don't want to figure that out when you're in college, you're end of first semester, finals are coming up, they're due in 2 days. You don't want to figure that out then. You want to figure it out when you're in high school, especially your senior year, because you'll take a lot of classes that are structured more like college classes, so it's a great time to figure out your time management. Try and get jobs and internships and volunteer opportunities your senior year. 1, it's going to look great on a resume. 2, it's going to look good to colleges. And 3, you get work ethic with it. Colleges will sometimes ask for your resumes. That's not made up. I've had friends that applied to big school colleges or big school universities that asked to see a resume. and they had to scramble last minute to put together a resume. So try and get, especially internships, summer internships are a great idea, or at least like a summer job, just to get some work experience under your belt, just to get, a work ethic, whatever. Try to find time to exercise or work out. Pay attention to what your body is saying. And sometimes going for, a 30-minute walk around your neighborhood every day or every other day will make you feel a lot better and will help you perform better in the classroom. I do workouts, and I feel better when I do them. I feel more awake, more productive. It doesn't stop me from getting sick, obviously, but I don't feel as bad when I'm sick. Try and do something like that. It literally can be anywhere from a 1 hour fitness routine to 30 minutes walking around your neighborhood. That's it. That's all you need to do. Find music and podcasts that you like to listen to. You underestimate how much free time you'll actually have, or how much study time you'll actually have, and sometimes having a good podcast or a good set of music to listen to while doing it helps tremendously. I personally like listening to podcasts because I like the noise of talking while I'm doing something, so it helps me focus. I can tune that out better than I can tune out silence. So personally, that helped me figure out what works for you. It doesn't even have to be music with words in it. You can listen to classical music. You can listen to lo-fi. You can listen to pop punk metal instrumental versions. Whatever works for you works for you. Senior year is definitely not easy in any way. It's not easy. You're going to struggle. However, it's not anywhere near as hard as your junior year. Your junior year is your hardest year of high school for a reason. Senior year, yes, it may be hard at times. Nowhere near as close. It might be for some people, but for the vast majority, it's not. Because at that point, you have all your shit figured out. You have your plan for the next 5 years. Maybe not. But, you have most of your classes done. You know what you need to do, and you're much better prepared to get that done. It will be hard at times, you will struggle, but it's not going to be like your junior year. And my last, final piece of advice, in the wise words of our senior advisor, don't be stupid.